Hey everyone, in this video we'll work on a few different things. First, we'll fix a couple issues that we're having currently. We'll fix the styles rendering issue where the styles disappear when the page is refreshed, and we'll fix an issue with post and put requests with how our current API is set up, and I'll get to that one here in a second. We will also add some basic filters to filter the results on the category page by the average reviews, number of reviews, and the business price range. So right now, all we have is this to do filters. We'll actually make a form here with a way to actually set the filters and reset them here at the bottom of the button. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first let's fix the issue that when I refresh the page, the styles go away. So right now we lose our styles. And that's just how this is set up currently with NextJs. Because NextJs is not just a client-side framework and there's server-side code, this is a little different than what we'd have to do for normal React. So I jump into my text editor and I go into my front-end folder here. So instead of our pages right now, we have this _app.js, which sets up the basic for app. We can also create a custom document page. That's what we're going to do here. So create a new file. And we'll save this as _document.js. And make sure the name is exactly that. There needs to be an underscore first, otherwise this won't work correctly. Now this is going to have a bunch of different things in it. I'm going to go ahead and just copy it. This will be available in the GitHub repo in the description. And I'll go over this here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this in here. So what we have here is we are creating another function like we do with most of our components, except this time it extends documents. Oh, sorry, we're creating a class, not a function. We're creating a class that extends the document. And there's these NextJs document tags that we can use here to set our document up. And this is pretty basic, just our HTML tag, our head tag, our body with our main and our next script. All this kind of stuff you need here to set up a NextJs project. And down here, we're setting some things up with the styles and the rendering of the page. This just needs to be here for this to work correctly. So make sure you just have this all copied in here. And there's one more piece we need to go ahead and add, and that's to our _app. So what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and import a use effect and create a use effect here. So to import use effect from React. And what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and remove the server-side injected CSS. So we'll go ahead and do that inside the use effect. So right here, I'll go use effect. And this will be set to a standard function. And then we'll go ahead and pass in empty square brackets there. And now inside of here, first we'll create a variable and call const JSS styles equals document dot query selector. And we'll pass in a # there and JSS just server side as the ID. And then we'll do if JSS styles. So if we found something in that document, that query selector, then we'll go ahead and remove the child from the parent. So we'll find the JSS parent. So we'll do JSS styles.parent element dot remove child to remove the JSS. And we'll do JSS styles. And that's all we need to do to fix that rendering issue. This is just something we need to add in. So when you set a new NextJS project, if you're going to use Material UI, you need to make sure you have this. If you don't use Material UI, this might not be necessary. So it may be based on your project. But in our case, we need that. I'm going to go ahead now and restart my front-end server. So I'll go ahead here and stop it and rerun it. There we go. Okay, now let's come back here, refresh the page. And now it doesn't break when I refresh the page. So now it's all working great. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. And that's with our API. So what we did before in the previous videos is we added the depth equals 1 to get all the data with an API call on the actual first API call itself. And that works great for reading data. But what if we want to go ahead and create another business and add to this category? Well, now we have some issues. So if I were to log in here and try to do that, and come down here to make a post. Actually, we'll jump into a category first. Then we'll come down here and make a post request. And look at the HTML form. We can put a name, a slug, and ordinal. But to add the businesses to the business relationship field, that's not available here in the HTML. So we have to go to the raw data to add the JSON. But if we went ahead and grabbed our business and tried to paste it inside this array, put like a comment here and added it right here, that's also still going to give us some issues. So we can't do that either. But on top of that, having to copy in an entire object like this to add a new object to the array is not really the great way to do it. So instead, we're going to go ahead and do something else. So we only have to add the actual URL instead. So we look at our code for our backend. Right now, we have to add the entire object because inside of our serializers, we have this nested business serializer inside of our category serializer. And with the depth equals 1, it creates an object here. And that's not going to be what we want to add it, only when we read it. So there's a lot of different ways you could do this. What I decided on doing is to create 2 different serializers. There may be something else that might be better, but for this case, I think this will work pretty well. So what we're going to do here is instead of having just one serializer for each item, we're going to go ahead and have multiple. So anytime we have depth equals 1 on any of these objects here, any of these serializers here, we need to go ahead and add something to them. And I might also just do it to the review just so we have it in case we want to add something to it in a later video as well. So what we want to do here is we're going to go ahead and change the name to category read serializer because this one has the depth equals 1. We have the object. We want to go ahead and use that to read any sort of GET request. But we have a put or a post request. We want to go ahead and run a write serializer. So we'll create another serializer here and change this read to write. And then we can go ahead and remove this nested serializer here and then remove the depth equals 1 as well. Save that. Now, this will break everything because we don't have this set up in our view set. So let's go ahead and change this over here by adding category read serializer and add a category write serializer. Category write serializer. And then what we'll do here is go into our category view set. And now instead of having this serializer class, we can use something different. What we can do is we can use this get serializer class function. So we'll go ahead and remove this line right here. And down here below all of this, I'm going to go ahead and add def get serializer class. Pass in self. And now inside this function, we can return whatever serializer we want based on whatever logic we have. So in this case, we'll do if self.request.method is equal to put or self.request.method is equal to post. We're going to go ahead and return the category write serializer. And so what we're doing here is we're checking the request method. So we do a put or a post request. We're either creating something new in the case of a post, or we're updating a current object in the database with a put. Both those cases, we're writing something to the database, and so we're returning this category write serializer. Now, if we're not doing that, and we are just reading, so we have a GET request in this case, and I'm going to go ahead and just do an else so that it catches everything else. We're going to go ahead and return our category read serializer. And so this one up here will have just the URL inside of the business array. This read one will have the entire object and all the data, so we can read and get all the data from it that we need. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and save that now and come back and look at our API and see if it's working now. Okay, and now you'll notice here, we have this back, and also if we go to the JSON data, we have it where it just has the URLs instead of the entire business data. And so now we can easily add more businesses to this category if we need to. I'm going to go and do the same thing now for the other 2 categories, or for the other 2 serializers and view sets. So we'll do the same thing here for our business. So we'll go ahead here and copy this, paste that there, and we'll change one of these. This one up here will be read. This one here will be write. The business write and business read. On the right, we want to go ahead and remove the depth equals 1 because we only want the URLs. And this one, that's all we need to do because there's no nested serializer. And we're going to do the same thing now for the review serializer. So we'll copy that and we'll paste it down there. This will be read and this will be write. And right now we're not really doing anything with this, but if we want to in the future, this is already set up. It just makes it a little easier for us just to already have that, ready to go. And actually, we might as well just go ahead and on our read, add a def equals 1. That should still work just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that as well. But now inside of our view sets, we need to go ahead and change our imports. So instead of review serializer, this should be review read and review write. Business read serializer, as well as a business write serializer. And now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and remove our serializer class and replace that with our def get serializer class. So def get serializer class, pass in self, and we'll do if. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just copy this logic because it's the exact same with just different serializers. So I'll go and copy that right there, paste that there, and change this right here to, we'll change this to business write, and this to be business read. And we'll do the same thing up here as well. So instead of this serializer class, remove that, and we'll go ahead and do a def get serializer class, pass in self, and once again, paste that logic and change the category here to review and the category here to read. And there we go. That should fix that problem. Hopefully that makes sense what we're doing. Oh, we have an error. Let's go ahead and see what that is real quick. Business serializer not defined. Oh, and our serializers here as well. We set this right here to be business serializer. This needs to be business. We can do, I guess we'll do business read. And that should fix that problem. Let's try this again. Okay, there we go. So hopefully it all makes sense. All we want to do is when we write, do a put or post, we only want this to show the URL. But when we do a get up here, if we did a get, we want to get all the data so we can easily pull that in our front end and keep everything else in the front end the same as it is right now. Okay, perfect. With that done, let's go ahead now and add the filters. So on our business here, or I guess on the categories page, so categories, food and drinks, we want to show some filters here. It'll be by the actual price range we have here, showing the dollar signs, by the number of reviews, as well as the average review. Now, right now, we don't have many reviews, so we can't really test the number of reviews, but we'll go ahead and add that in as well. And over time, we can use that more when we have more reviews in the system, but for now, there's not many there. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with that. So we'll jump into the code, and now we'll jump into the front end. So we'll get rid of all our back end stuff here. We don't need that now. Let's go into our front end, and let's go inside of our categories, and this is on the slug page. So right here, we have our to-do filters. Let's fix the syntax highlighting real quick. Syntax, Babel, JavaScript. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a few different elements using our material UI. So we have most of them imported right now, I believe. We'll need to add a button. So we'll go ahead and add a button as well. I think that might be it. Let's go ahead and just try. Oh, no, we'll have some more. Yeah, let's go ahead and import a few more things, actually. We'll need to import the input label, the select, form control, menu item, and that might be it. This will all be available in the description, the code for this, so you can go here and just copy this line if you want to, or just type those in right there. Now let's go ahead and add our filters. So first, we'll start by creating a box. Do a box. We'll close off that element right there. Now inside of the box, we want to go ahead and add a grid. And this will be our container grid. And we went over this in the last few videos, so I'm not going to go too in depth on the grid, but we have a grid container, then we have items for every item within the grid. And this grid size will go the entire width of the container. In this case, it's the parent grid, which is right up here. So it's 3 on medium screens, 12 on large screens. And now inside of this item here, we're going to go ahead and put a little title. So we'll do a typography component, and we'll go ahead and do a variant equaling h5. And we'll go ahead and do a filter the results as the header. We're going to close off this. Okay, next we want to go ahead and add a divider. So we have a divider component as well. I did not import that, so let's go ahead and import that real quick. So up here, I'll just do divider, just like that. And now below this divider, we're going to close off our two grid components, close off our grid, and close off our other grid as well. Okay, and now below that, we'll go ahead and create one more grid another grid container. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy all of this just to give us a starting point. Once again, we have a grid with an item of 12. And now inside of here, we're gonna go ahead and create our inputs. So we'll have 3 different select inputs, one for the price filter, one for the number of reviews, and one for the average reviews. So what we'll do here is we'll create one, copy it 3 times, and just adjust it for each one. So this first one, we'll go ahead and create a form control. And we'll go ahead and do a full width as an attribute on that. Next, we'll go ahead and create an input label. And this will be the label for our input, I guess. So it'll be an ID equaling price. And our label itself will be just price. We can then go and close off our input label. Below that, we'll go ahead and create a select component. And here, this will be label ID equaling price. Give an ID equaling to price. Oops. Input. And for now, we'll go ahead and just add a label equaling price as well. And for now, that's it. We'll add more later, but for now, we'll stop there. And then we need to go ahead and add some menu items, which will be our options to select within this select input. And so I'll do a menu item, and then we'll add a value. And this value will be the value that we actually set in our state when it's selected. This will not be what actually shows up as the text on our option. So I'm going to go ahead and create the value to match the same thing we have in our database. In this case, it's these $signs. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and create, what would be 5 inputs? Yeah, 5 inputs with each of the $sign increments as an option. And we'll put the text. We could do another $sign here, but just be more clear with it, I'm going to go ahead and do the actual textual representation of the $sign. So this first one's very cheap. Now we're going to copy this down a few more times. The next one is cheap, which is $2 This will be cheap. Next one's 3, which is moderate. Next one is expensive, which should be $4. And finally, the last one is very expensive, which is the $5. Just like that. Okay, let's go ahead and save that now, and we'll close off our select and our form control. So right here, we're gonna go ahead and close off our select. Actually, I did not mean to put that closing tag there. It should be like that. And this will be our select. We'll close that off. And then finally, we'll close off the form control. Let's save that and see if this is working. No, it looks like we're having an issue with, oh, I put our grid ahead of this. This should be within this grid, not outside of it. So we'll go ahead and bring this down here and paste that right there. Okay, let's save that. Now let's go ahead and let's try this again. And there we go. We don't have any styles yet, but we can select the options right here. And right now it's doing nothing, but it's setting the value to whatever we select. So that's working well. Let's go ahead now and actually make this say something in the state. So the way this will work is we'll have some use state hooks up here for each of our inputs. And every time they select something, so every time we come here and make a change, it will update the state, which will update what we show here. So the way we'll do that is first we need to import use state from React. So we'll import React and we'll do use state. And now down here, what we'll do is a const use or a const equals that equals use state, and the default value will be null. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this down 3 times. We're going to have 3 inputs, so we'll need 3 of them, like that. And the first one will be price, so we'll do price and set price. Next one will be number of reviews, so we'll do num reviews, set num reviews. And finally, the last one will be average reviews, so average reviews. Are we using that somewhere else? No, not in our front end, so that should be fine here. And then we'll do, this will be set average reviews. Okay, so now what we can do is just, whenever we select something, update that value to be the whatever value we set right here. So this value will be saved inside of here, inside this price variable, every time we change the input. And so the way we can do this is we can add an on change. We got an on change, and this will be equal to a function. So we'll put curly braces here, put E, and create an arrow function. And we'll do set price. I call it set price. And this will be e.target.value. So this is just basic JavaScript with our forms. So this E is just the event variable, and e.target, the T there, .value will get the value of the select input. So it'll be whatever these are, will be this saved in this position right here, e.target.value. That's all we need to do to update our state. But we also want to go ahead and set the value to this current value in our state. So what we'll do here is we'll do a value and set that equal to price. Okay, now save that and come back here. Give it a refresh real quick. And now this should still work just fine. We can still select our items, and now it's updated state. You can't see any changes yet because we haven't actually changed how we're rendering these lists out yet, but it is updating it. Okay, let's go now and copy this select and this form control, or actually this whole grid, I guess, down 2 more times. So we want to go ahead and get this first grid, not the second one. We'll kind of copy that, paste that there, and paste that there. Okay, so now instead of price, we want to go ahead and do number of reviews. Number of reviews. Label will be, so this will be num reviews. And this will be num reviews. This will be num reviews input. And label will be number of reviews. And this will be set num reviews. And once again, e.target.value, and our value instead of price will be num reviews. This is the same thing. We're just changing this to match the next filter. And now the values here, this can be kind of whatever you want. I'm going to go 5, 10, and 15. So we'll do 5 plus as a text, 10 plus as the next text, and finally 15 plus. We'll get rid of these 2 bottom ones. And what we're going to do here is, as a value, we'll send the number of the minimum amount. In this case, it's 5, 10, or 15. And we'll just check if it's equal to or greater to this number. So this will be 5, this will be 10, and this one will be 15. Okay, and that should be it for this one. I think we should be good there. Now we'll go ahead and change this last one, and this will be average reviews. Or average review, I guess. The single average review. And the input here will be average review. This will be average review. This will be average review input. And the label here will be average review. Now instead of a set price, we'll do set average review, e.target.value, and this will be average review, like that. Now for this, I'm going to have 3 more, and this will be either 3 stars, 4 stars, or 5 stars. And it'll be, once again, 3 plus. That way, if you get like 3.5, and the 4s and 5s will still show up when we select 3 or whatever. So what we'll do here is we'll change this to be 3 plus stars, 3 plus stars. And I'm going to go and copy this down to both of these. And then we'll go ahead and do 4+ stars. The last one will be 5 stars. And then once again here, we're going to go and send the number for the minimum average review. So the first one's 3, this one's 4, and this one is 5. Okay, perfect. And I think that should be it. Let's go ahead and save this, just make sure everything works. No, average review is not defined. I put average reviews. Let's put average review because in this case, it's only one review. It's not multiple, so that makes more sense, I think, at least. So we'll go ahead and save that. And let's go ahead and try this again. Okay, so we set a price, we set a number of reviews, and we can set an average reviews, just like that. So it looks like everything's working so far. Let's go ahead and add some styles here and also a clear filters button. So we're gonna add some styles, add some spacing and whatever else so it's not so crammed together right there. And we'll have a secondary button here that says clear filters that removes all of these and sets them all back to none. That way, because right now there's no way to get rid of this filter. You're kind of stuck here unless you reload the page or something. So let's go ahead and fix that. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and first we'll add a class to our box. So let's find that, which is right here. So go ahead and add a class name here. Class name. This will be equal to classes.filterContainer. Now up here in our use styles and our make styles, we can go ahead and add a class. So we'll add our filter container class here. And we'll go ahead and add a margin, and we'll be 0 on the top and bottom, and we'll go ahead and do 25 pixels on the left and right. And that is it for that one. Let's go ahead now, come back and see how that looks. That looks much better. Okay, so now we have some spacing there. It's not all crammed together. Let's go and add a clear filters button to clear out these filters. And this will be pretty simple. We're going to come down here to the very bottom of our grid down here. And we'll create another grid item inside of our grid. So we'll do a grid item. And we'll close off our grid right here. And now inside this item here, we'll create a button. And this button will be an outline button. So a variant equals outline, outlined with a D. Color will equal secondary. And we'll add an on click and a class name to this. So I'm going to add class name equaling classes.clear filters. And I'm going to go ahead and add this class real quick. This is just some spacing just to make it easy to see, make it look a little better, I guess. So we'll go ahead and add a clear filters class right here. Clear filters. And this will be margin top. And this will be 15 pixels like that. Okay, and the last thing we need on this button is a on click. I'm not sure what happened here. That's weird. Let's fix that. Oh, I just need to put something there. Okay, real quick though, I'm gonna go ahead and just add clear filters as the text and close this button off and take a look at it, make sure everything's working correctly. There we go. And so now our margin top create this extra spacing here, so it's not right up against this last input. Right now, this does nothing though. If I click on here, it does not clear anything. So let's add an on click to actually set those filter state values to null. So on our button, we'll add an on click. This will be equal to a function called clear filters. And we'll create that function right up here. So inside of our function below our handle business click, we'll do a const. Actually, just to keep it consistent, let's rename that to be handle clear filters. Handle clear filters. Just to keep it consistent with everything else. Okay. But anyway, back up here. Const, set the name handle clear filters, which equals just an arrow function with no arguments. And what we'll do here is we'll set price, and this will be null. Set num reviews, and this will be null. And finally, we'll do set average review, which also will be null. Okay, now let's go ahead and try that out. So, what was the issue here? Handle. Oh, I changed this. I changed the wrong thing. Our class name should still be clear filters. Our on click needs to be handle clear filters. There we go. Handle clear filters. Okay, now let's try this again. Okay, so I set a price, I'll set a reviews, and I'll set an average review. I'll hit clear filters, and they all go away. And any value I set, they'll all go away when I hit the clear filters button. Okay, that's working great. Now, the final step for this is to actually make those filters do something. Right now, I mean, I can set a average review of 5 stars, but it's still showing this because I haven't actually changed how I'm listing these out yet. So let's go ahead and do that now. So the way we can do this is we can go down to find our map where we're mapping over all of the different results, and we can only show them if certain requirements are met. What we can do here is we can go ahead and put some parentheses, and inside of here, we can check for each of these different things. So first, I want to go ahead and check either not price filter or price filter, or not price filter, just price. Either not price, either price is null or price is equal to business.price_range. And so we want to check not only does the price equal the price range, or if there's not a price set, a price range filter set, we want to show it anyway, because this is always going to be set. And so if nothing's set, nothing would show up, which is not what we want here. And now we can do that same sort of logic for all the other 2 inputs. So right here, I can go ahead and do an and some more parentheses, and do not num reviews or num reviews equals the business, which is what we're looping over up here, dot reviews dot length. I guess it's not equals to, it's equals to or greater than would be the correct way to do it, I guess. So it would be not equals, but greater than or equal to the business.reviews.length. So this length will be the total number of reviews on this business. If that's greater than or equal to what we have set here, show it, or if there's nothing set, show it anyway. And finally, we have one more filter to add. And so this one will be our average reviews. So once again, if there's not an average review, show it. So not average review, or average review. Actually, we'll do or average reviews business.url is greater than or equal to average review. So this one might, fix that. This one might be a little more confusing. What we're doing here is we're grabbing this average review object, which we have, where we have that at? Up here at the top. Right here, average reviews. So we look down at our function down here, and it looks like this is looking kind of weird with this. That's because I haven't closed things out yet. But we'll find our average reviews right here, and what we're doing is setting the URL equal to the average reviews rounded to what we rounded to before. So this is just an object with all of the average reviews. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to check, find that average review that matches this business URL. And if that average review is greater than or equal to the average review filter, or there's no filter set, show this item. Hopefully that makes sense. And now finally, we can go ahead and do an and here and open up some parentheses. And this will wrap the entire card. So this will only show it if these conditions are all met. Just like that. And that should be it. Let's go ahead and try it out and see if it works. So for example, right now this is, what is that, moderate? No, that's expensive. Oops. So I click expensive, it shows up. If I click anything else, now it goes away. If I clear filters, they're all set to null, so it shows everything, which is this one business. If I set an average review of 5 or anything else, this one might not be working. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. Let's set the average review. So we set the average review to 3, it shows up. We set the 4 though, it goes away, and 5 goes away as well. So it looks like these two are working. Our number of reviews might not be working. So let's go ahead and check that out real quick. So we'll find our number of views right here. So if number of views is greater than, so it looks like we just have this flipped around. So let's go and just take this, and I'm going to put this right here. And I'm going to take this number of views and put on the other side. So we want to check if the length, if that length is greater than, if the length on the actual business is greater than or equal to our filter. We don't want to show up if it's less. Okay, let's go ahead and now try that again. So I set number of views of 5. This doesn't have 5, so it goes away. And obviously 10 or 15, it also goes away. So these are all working great now. We can select filters, and it will filter our businesses based off of what we select here. Okay, and that's really it for this video. There's one more thing I'm going to go ahead and do in this video, and that is add this little drawer here. So right now, this does nothing. Let's go ahead and make it pop out here and list different links here that we'll have later on. For now, we'll just put a homepage link just to have something. So let's go and update our nav bar to do that. So I open up our text editor and go inside of our components, inside of our nav, and we'll come down here. So below our menu icon, inside of our icon button, we can go and add a drawer. So right here, I'll add a drawer, and we'll add a few different things here. So we'll set a value of anchor to be left. Open will equal now nothing until we add something there. And on close. And so what we need to set here is an open value and an on close. So this open value will just be a piece of state, either true or false. And that will tell it whether or not to display it or not display it. Let's go ahead and import that real quick. So we need to import useState up here at the top. And let's also, while we're here, import drawer, because we'll need that here as well. Okay, and we'll create a new piece of state down here. So we'll do a const equals use state, and this will be toggle, we'll call it, and set toggle. And the default value will be false. So by default, we don't want to show it until it's clicked. And the open will be the toggle value. So if that's true, it'll show it. If not, it won't show it. Next, we have this on close, and this will be what do we do when we close the drawer. And in this case, we want to go and just toggle this state to be false to make it go away. But we're going to do this in a separate function. So we'll go ahead here and create a function called toggle drawer, and we'll pass in a value of the opposite of the current toggle value. So if it's showing, it will make it not show. And then up here, we'll go ahead and create that function. So we'll do a const toggle drawer that equal to this will look a little different. This is coming from the documentation, so it's gonna look a little different, but we're gonna have these two different values here. So it'll be like a double arrow function. I'm not sure if there's an exact name for that, but that's what we're doing here. And the first one will have a property or a argument of value, and the second one will have an argument of event. Inside of this function here, we'll do if event.type is equal to key down and event.key is equal to tab, or event.key is equal to shift. Then we're just going to go ahead and return. So we'll just do a return. Else, if that's not the case, we'll set the toggle value to be the value that we're passing in, which is the opposite of the current value. And this function is coming straight from the documentation. So if you don't understand this, you can look up more in their documentation on their website. But all we're doing here is just toggling the drawer on or off, pretty much. And next, we need to go ahead and add the elements that will actually show up in the drawer when we show it. And we can add that right below our drawer element right here. I'll create another div. Now inside this div here, I'm going to go ahead and show some different list elements. And so Material UI has this different list element components. I'm going to use those. So we'll create a list component here. Inside of here, we'll go ahead and create a list item. This will be a button. And we'll add an on click equaling to a function. And this will be router.push. And this will go to the home page. This is our home button link. We need to go also bring in router here. We'll do that here in a second. And that should be it for our first list item. Inside of this list item, we want to go ahead and put an icon. So we do a list item icon. And this will be a home icon. And we'll go ahead and close off this list item icon. Now below that, we can go ahead and put some list item text because we want some text next to this icon. So this will be a list item text primary, which is our primary text. That's all we're going to have here is just home. And we'll go ahead and close off that. Close off our list item. And finally, we'll close off our list for now because that's all we're putting in here is this one item. Okay, so now we go and import some things and make this work. So first things first, let's add our router. So up here at the top, we're going to import use router from next/router. And now down here inside our function, we can do a const router equals use router. Just like that. And then we need to go and import all these different things. So list item icon, list item text, it looks like. So I'll start one by one here. I'll copy this list, bring it in up here. And we'll go and do the same thing for the list item. And we'll do the same thing for the list item icon. And we'll do the same thing for the list item text. We also need to bring in this home icon component. So that will be from, let's see here, import home icon from be at material UI / icon / home. Now this changed in the most recent version of Material UI. So if this is not working, maybe check that and see what, if you're using the newer version of it, maybe you need to change this import to match that. Okay, let's go and save that now. And that should be it, I believe. Let's go and just try it out and see if it works. No, it is not working. Okay, what is wrong? Drawer. I never close off the drawer. Oh, okay. So right here, I create my drawer, but I didn't close it off at the end of all this. So we want to put the drawer, we're going to wrap around everything that we're going to put within our drawer. So this div is what we have showing when we show the drawer. So I'll put the closing drawer right outside of that. Let's go ahead and save that now and try this again. There we go. Now if I click this, doesn't look like it's working. Let's go ahead and double check that. Okay, so it looks like there's an issue here. I put all this inside the icon button. I should not have done that. It should be outside, just below it. So we'll go ahead now here and take this out here and put this right here. And I also never added the actual on-click to make it open. So that's something I need to add. So on this icon button over here, we need to add an on-click. So add an on-click equaling a function, and this will be toggle drawer. And this will be true. So in this case, we want to show it. So we want to pass the value to be true. On close, we toggle it to the opposite. So if it's currently showing, it will be false. If it's not showing, it will be true. Okay, now with that set, let's go ahead now and refresh the page and try this. Okay, there we go. So now we have our icon showing. Now right now this is kind of cramped. Let's go ahead and add a class to give this a little more space. So up here in our make styles, I'll add one more class here, and I'll call this class list, and this will be a min width set to 200. And then we'll put this, we'll put it on the div. So we'll come down here, and on this div here, we're going to do a class name equaling classes.list and save that. Come back here. Open this up, and now there's much more space here for that each link item. Okay, perfect, and that's really it. So we've got some issues fixed, we got our drawer working, and we have our filters in place now. And that's where we'll stop for today. Actually, one more thing we're going to do, let's not set these values to null, let's set those values to empty string. So if we go into our slug page here, and these default values, and where we set everything to null, let's just have it an empty string instead. So we'll change all of these just to be an empty string instead of null. Okay, now let's go ahead and go back here and make sure it still works. So I set price to cheap, goes away, expensive, it comes back, clear, and it clears them all out. Clear, there we go. And now this way, this input gets reset correctly, which it wasn't doing before. Okay, but anyway, with that done, that's where we'll stop for today. All the code for this will be in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.